what if Joey had Red Eyes Black Dragon during the Battle City and Virtual World arc? This was something that I recently thought of, and so yeah, we all know the story. Joey duels Seeker, that rare hunter who has Exodia, loses Red Eyes Black Dragon to him. Then Yugi wins it back off him, and then when Yugi offers Joey back the Red Eyes Black Dragon, he refuses, saying it's not his to take. And he figures that it will help him defeat Marek, even though Yugi only ever summoned it twice throughout the whole of the Battle City arc. Yeah, it did help when Joey was possessed by Marek, and of course it helped when Yugi faced Kaiba. But yeah, this brings about the question, what if Joey did take Red Eyes Black Dragon back, like, right at the start of the tournament? How much would have changed? For the most part of Yugi's duels, not much would be different, although I guess things would change in the duel with Marek possessing Joey, and the duel against Kaiba. Whereas Red Eyes would be more involved in Joey's duels. Not sure how much would have been different. In the duels with Esperoba, Weevil, and Meiko, it might not have got to a point where Joey was able to summon it, because there wasn't a situation where he could get out a 2 tribute monster. Maybe Red Eyes could still be fitted in there somehow, but for the majority, not much would be different until the duel between Yugi and possessed Joey. See, the problem here now is that Yugi doesn't have Red Eyes Black Dragon in his deck. Joey has it, but Yugi would still find a way to break through to Joey by finding a way to take Time Wizard or Red Eyes Black Dragon. At this point, it would probably be Time Wizard. Now, I don't know how Yugi would do it, but he would find a way to basically draw Time Wizard out somehow. Maybe there'd be a point where it would end up in Joey's hand, or maybe Yugi would have Dark Designator. Either way, there's some strategy to get Time Wizard to Joey's hand, then activate Exchange, so that Yugi would take it, whereas Joey would take something off Yugi, like Card Destruction, still, I guess. And then Yugi would bring it out and try and use it to basically break through to Joey, like in the same way as when Red Eyes Black Dragon would get summoned here. Plus he'd have more cards to protect the Time Wizard at all costs. But I think, other than that, the duel would basically play out the same way. It would just be a bit more tricky. then moving on to the Battle City finals, Red Eyes would find a way to make its appearance against Odeon. Basically on the same turn that Joey brings out Jinzo. Now I know he had Swordsman of Landstar on the field, plus something else. I forget if it's Alligator's Sword or Rocket Warrior. Probably Rocket Warrior. Once Jinzo comes back, he would then sacrifice his other monsters to bring out Red Eyes Black Dragon, and that's basically 4,800 points of damage right there. Now, because Odeon wouldn't have any monsters, that would be enough for game, unless they want. But then again, the writers would want the duel to basically have it so that Joey would lose, but Marek would force Odeon to win with Ra, and then that result would still end up being the same. So maybe Odeon would have a way to boost his life points by about 1,000, or actually have a proper monster on the field to tank one of the attacks. And it would still get to a point where Odeon would play Swords of Revealing Light, but Joey would end up gathering monsters and still make it so that he gets out Insect Queen and Legendary Fisherman along with Jinzo and Red Eyes Black Dragon. And then, once all this happens, it would still get to a point where Odeon would get out Mystical Beast of Skirkit, Joey ends up bricking, and then all his monsters get destroyed one at a time, and then we still have that result where the fake Ra comes out, strikes both down, and then Joey gets back up. So going into the virtual world, Red Eyes would have more of a presence there. I think it would still find a way to show up in Joey's duel with Johnson. It would also make some sort of appearance in the tag duel against the Big Five somehow. And that would be that. And now for Joey's duel with Marek. Here's where other things change. In fact, come to think of it, I need to read the effect of Plasma Eel for just 1 second. Okay, so yeah, I've just had a quick look at Plasma Eel. I just wanted to check something about whether or not the equipped monster can be attributed or not. Yeah, it's never specified in the anime, but after Joey did the whole thing with Graceful Dice on Plasma Eel, but here's a way to try and make this work somehow. So on the turn Joey brings Jinzo back from the graveyard, he basically gets Red Eyes Black Dragon out as well. Now, instead of just drawing Question, he would get Pot of Greed, which would get him Question and Monster Reborn, the other thing that changes is instead of Insect Queen being discarded by Hellpalmer's effect, it's Red Eyes Black Dragon. So, Joey does the whole thing with Question, brings Jinzo back, destroys all of Marek's traps. Then, after that, he activates Monster Reborn and brings back Jinzo, Red Eyes Black Dragon. So now he's got that, Jinzo, Baby Dragon, Rocket Warrior, and Panther Warrior. That's a full field of monsters right there, and goes into attack with absolutely everything. But Marek, of course, blocks it with Dark Wall of Wind. Then, come his turn, he tributes both Jinzo and this time Red Eyes Black Dragon for Lava Golem. So, yeah, Baby Dragon is basically still there. But yeah, other than that, the duel ends up playing out the same way. Joey ends up doing the whole thing with graceful dice and stuff. Getting rid of the equipped plasma eels, then tributes Lava Golem, his weakened Panther Warrior, and Baby Dragon for Guildford the Lightning. And Guildford gets rid of Plasma Eel, and then tries to game him, but he blocks Guildford's attack with Nightmare Mirror. Although, here's another thing that changes. Rocket Warrior successfully hits Marek directly and drops him to 400. This would change a lot, because it would mean that Marek can no longer pay 1,000 to change Ra into Ra Phoenix mode. But because of the way the duel's meant to play out, we're going to sort of reverse engineer this as well. So instead of just top decking Monster Reborn, he gets Card of Sanctity, or his own Pot of Greed. Either way, the cards he will draw will be Granadora, or Swallowtail Spike Lizard, and Monster Reborn. So he summons Granadora first, gains 1,000, then plays Monster Reborn, gets back Ra, changes it into Phoenix mode, and I think he can also tribute his remaining monsters to increase its power. I'm not sure. But then again, it probably won't matter, so so he does this. Joey is completely wiped out. In fact, come to think of it, if no, Joey would actually lose right here and right there and then, because he's only on 1,200. Guildford and Rocket Warrior are obliterated, and Granadora would just take him out and attack him for game. And at this point, Joey would be sent to the Shadow Realm, along with Mai. I didn't even think about that. Or alternatively, he could... actually, we'll come back to that, because I don't think Marek has other cards that increase his life points. sure there was another card, but I'm just drawing a blank. But yeah, already that would change a lot, because we don't get to see the third place playoff. And that little argument and confrontation involving Kaiba, Mokuba and Ishizu would happen a lot sooner. Now, after Marek wins, he actually doesn't take any of Joey's rarest cards. I mean, it depends. It could go a couple of ways from this point, but knowing Marek, taking Red Eye's Black Dragon and using it to torture Yugi would be something he'd do. So if he doesn't take it, then this could go another two ways. I mean, maybe Yugi would borrow it throughout the rest of the tournament, in which case the duel with Kaiba doesn't change. The rest of the tournament doesn't change, but otherwise Yugi would leave it in the duel disc. But yeah, if Marek does take Red Eye's Black Dragon, then Yugi has to not only defeat Marek, but try and get Red Eye's Black Dragon back, as well as the Winged Dragon of Roll, even though it kind of would go against the Battle City anti-rules, where you can only take the one rarest card that the defeated duelist has. So, yeah, going into the duel with Kaiba, without Red Eye's Black Dragon, what would be different? Because Magician's Selection can only stop one attack. But yeah, this would depend on whether or not Yugi would have a dragon in his hand on the same turn that Flute is played. Because Yugi does have dragon monsters in his deck, like Desvolt Scalf, Curse of Dragon, Blackland Fire Dragon, Winged Dragon, Guardian of the Fortress. So if there was still a dragon in his hand, he would summon one of them, probably Desvolt Scalf, which would hold some symbolism, because this was the monster that, a monster that helps take down the Big Five. So Blue Eyes would still be ensnared by the Spellbinding Circle, and but there wouldn't be that scene where Desvolt Scalf would destroy the Blue Eyes, because its attack points wouldn't be high enough. So there'd be like a 2300 Blue Eyes just stuck there thanks to Spellbinding Circle. And then how it would play out was his Dark Magician would then attack and destroy the weakened Blue Eyes come Yugi's turn, then main 2 switch Desvolt Scalf to defense, but then that's when Kaiba would spring final attack orders, switching it back to attack mode, and then the rest of the duel plays out the same way. Otherwise, if there isn't a dragon, then Dark Magician would be obliterated, and Yugi's life points would drop to 1,000, meaning he can no longer activate Diffusion Wave Motion. So with his field bare, Yugi would be kind of stuck. But I think because of the plot, Yugi would have to find a way to basically get Dark Magician back out onto the field, and still be able to bring out Dark Paladin. But again, because of the plot, there'd have to be some reverse engineering here, which is tricky because Pot of Greed has been used, and so has Card of Sanctity, although there is still Graceful Charity, and two of the three cards he draw would be Premature Burial and Double Spell. Yeah, Yugi would basically be forced to activate Premature Burial and bring Dark Magician back in attack mode. Although there'd still be limited options, and Kaiba could easily wipe him out, but again he just proceeds to bring out Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and again I guess the rest of the duel would play out the same way. Now, the final duel with Marek. It plays out in a similar way, although there is a point where Marek would summon Red Eyes Black Dragon just to torture Yugi. And, now, I don't know whenabouts this would come up, but still, other than that, the duel would play out remotely the same, with the clashes of the gods quite early on, then that lock with Egyptian god Slime and Boganian. But I feel like there'd be a point where Yugi would play Change of Heart quite late on and take Red Eyes Black Dragon back. And then, just to make sure Marek doesn't get it back, he'd tribute Red Eyes for something, like maybe Dark Magician Girl, instead of Big Shield Gardener, being tributed. Other than that, the duel plays out the same way. So Yugi wins, Marek offers back, gives Yugi the Winged Dragon of Ra, and Red Eyes Black Dragon is returned to Joey, who's minded back from the Shadow Realms, and so is Mize, and pretty much everyone, really, well, I guess except Bones, and those other two guys who aren't seen again after Bakura sends them to the Shadow Realm. But yeah, this is basically what I think would happen if Joey took Red Eyes Black Dragon off Yugi. But yeah, this is just best guess, but what do you guys think? Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.